Hey boys and girls, Doug Giles here. It's Warriors Rich
and Wildmen. What's happening, Doug?
I'm talking back to the devil, my new book.
Yeah.
Number 1 in demonism and controversial religious knowledge and the occult on Amazon.
Yes.
Tell me I'm not giddy about that, Rich. Tell me I'm not giddy.
Heck yeah, you are giddy.
I talk back to the devil. Get it for your rowdy buddies. And y'all, these are proclamations. This is an action manual. Proclaim this stuff out loud with testicular fortitude and watch what it does to your walk with God, both personally and corporately. Hey, Rich, you know what, man? I don't know why I didn't think of this sooner. And maybe we should have started like back when we launched the podcast. I think it was back in 2015, 2016. We should, and again, I know this kind of, why are we talking about this? Because this is something you and I should talk about like off camera, but do you think that we should have, or we should start each episode of Warriors and Wildmen like you and I stripping? What do you think about that? Like I'll get a pole.
I want to climb a pole. I'm going to rip off my shirt.
Okay. I'm down.
Yeah. I mean,
what about licking a sword?
When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the next best time? Today.
So are you, would you be into sword licking also, or is it just, shirtless stripping and sashaying around the pole?
No, most of my stripping is safe for my wife.
Okay.
Most of my stripping is private. Not most, all.
All right. I don't want to see any videos, but I take your word for it. Hey, so if people don't know, what the hizzle we're talking about, the Stronger Men's Conference in
Not
Missouri.
Stronger. You should change it to the Gayer Men Conference.
Yeah, I know, the Stranger Men's Conference.
Yeah,
that was some strange stuff. Yeah, so people don't know what we're talking about.
Conference.
If folks don't know what we're talking about, I think is the weekend of April 12th, 13th, somewhere around there, a couple of weeks ago, where John Lindell, who's the pastor of James River Church, glory, he's hosting the Stronger Men's Conference. 6,000 dudes, Rich. 6,000 dudes. $160.
6,000 guys paid, I guarantee you.
Yeah, $160 a head. So that's nearly $1 million, something like that. So here they had this conference, and to open up the event, an icebreaker, Rich, okay, is Alex Magala, and Alex came on, and he has a history of gay stripping, and not just for the boys, it's also for the girls. So he's an equal opportunity seductress. And he opens up the show. He comes out. He's walking. I think he's got a sleeveless leather vest on.
Yeah, like a leather vest, yeah.
Right, which is perfect, for Christian men to see.
For a men's conference, yeah, totally. I'm into that. You ever show up hanging out with me like that? No.
Yeah,
unless we're riding motorcycles, don't even try it.
Yeah, and so he stops in, center stage, and lo and behold, Rich, the damnedest thing, man. There's a stripper pole right in the middle of the stage.
Weird. And then, at a men's conference.
Right. And so when he gets center stage, he palms it. He palms the pole, and then he sachets around it, and then he spins around, full stop, and then he takes off his leather vest, and then he flexes his muscles. And you ought to see the frickin' yapping morons on the front row, because it's all I can see in the video. They start clapping like seals.
No.
Yeah, they're freaking gray-headed old men. And then Alex gets the sword, and he takes the sword, which I guess is supposed to represent the sword of the Spirit. I don't know. I'm giving him some leeway here in interpretation. And then he licks it, and then he shimmies straight up the pole and does a cute trick with coming down, kind of in an Australian rappel at full speeds, and stops an inch before the sword gets jammed into his colon. And then everybody's like, woohoo! And I don't know, man. I don't think I'd have made it through that whole display. I don't think, Driscoll rebukes him, and he's getting mad props like, yeah, man, that's what you do. You rebuke them if they do kind of stupid crap like that. I think I would have left right then, or I would have stopped it right then. I wouldn't wait, to the day later.
Yeah, I would have left.
Yeah. All right, so I talked enough. What would Rich do? That's what I want to know, man.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of those situations, I've been in some weird situations.
That weird?
Well, I was in a situation in the Philippines one time where we had a conference, I think maybe 15 or 18,000 people. And we started in different countries incorporating some of their cultural dances and stuff, at the beginning of the thing, and like a patriotic thing, for their country or whatever. And
Did it include nudity or partial nudity?
No, but this weird thing happened. This company that they hired is this very professional company. And while they're doing it, and then they're doing everything, and it's cool, and people are loving it, and it's great. And then this guy comes out, and it's a guy, but he's acting like a girl, and he's got a bra on, but it's coconut shells.
No.
And he starts dancing around like a girl, and I'm like, oh, hell no, what's going on? And then my pastor from Colombia grabs me by the arm and says, what's going on? I said, I don't know. There's no way. I got to kill somebody. He says, do something. I said, you want me to run up there and drag him off the stage? Because this thing's going to be over in about 10 seconds. And it literally was over, like bam, bam, bam. They did it right at the end. It was intentional. So I was hot. And I got my guys, and I was like, hey, what the hell happened? And they said, we had them show us everything they were going to do. They did not do that. They intentionally put that on in the end as a mockery. And it happened so fast, and it's on, like, I can't run up on the stage. It's not 3 steps. Like, the stage is like 15 feet high. I'd literally have to run around the back and go around the side. There's nothing you can do.
So who allowed that mockery, that troubadour, to get up there and drag and do that at the
This company was hired to do a cultural thing, and then they did their national anthem. We started doing that.
I wouldn't have paid them. I wouldn't have paid them.
Well, I don't know if they did. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
All I know is we just said, that's it. No more stuff. Everything from now on is our people. That's it. And
right.
it was weird, but unfortunately, that is a big part of their culture there, and people kind of blew it off a little bit. So we didn't bring it up, because it was better to not address it and bring attention to it, because people just, they when we talk to people about it, the pastors and stuff, they're like, everybody just kind of put that in the cultural category and just moved on. And so it's rather bringing attention to it, we just let it go. But it wasn't as crazy as that, right? Like, it wasn't like we intentionally went out and hired somebody to do gay stuff on stage, but it was weird. So there's some situations where I understand where there's not a lot you could do on the spot, right?
Right. So you've done huge conferences all over the world.
100,000 people, 52,000 people.
Yeah. So there's and I've done a lot in Western Europe and South Africa for many moons. And again, these are international conferences, big stuff. There's committees, man, that you've got to wash things through. Like,
that's my point, is that an individual or a group of people doing something without you knowing is surely different than we went out and hired this guy to do this gay thing on our stage. Yeah, that's my point. So as a guest, you're really stuck. Like, not that you can't stand up for the gospel, not that you can't leave, not that you can't say something, but you're really in a difficult position. I probably would have got up and walked out. I was in a conference one time when a pastor's wife said, I've been taking dancing lessons for my husband. And they brought a couch out and he sat on it. She started dancing all sexy for him on the stage. And they're older. Bro, as soon as it started happening, I got up, walked, and I was on the front row. Massive conference.
Right.
In another country. Walked straight out the door, went to the VIP hall area there to get coffee. I was like, I'm out. And when I went in there, another pastor that I know that's pretty well known walked in the opposite door on the other thing, and he said, I knew I'd find you in here. What the hell is going on? I said, I don't know, man. This ain't my conference, ain't my gig. I'm not trying to be involved in this, And so there's weird tensions, right? But I would leave. I would. I know that a friend of mine told me that Casey Treat was in a conference, and a guy started preaching stuff that was whack, and Casey just stood up off the front row and grabbed his Bible and said, well, and started walking down the middle of the church leaving.
Yeah, Keith Green.
That's a great statement, right?
Yeah, Keith Green used to do that stuff all the time. Ravenhill told me that, to keep was famous for wearing these big construction grade waffle stompers and stuff. And if he started smelling heresy or it got into the flesh or anything like that,
Yeah.
he would start shouting the pastor down and stomping his way out as he's dragging, melody out of the church or the concert
Yeah.
or the conference and stuff. I was preaching in Holland at this great Bible school, and they had an incredible praise band. Rich, I mean, these guys were like these Dutch heavy metal, scorpion-like guys that were just virtuosos in regards to shredding and stuff, and just really good servants of the Lord. They weren't freaks and chasing skirts or anything like that. And they usually led worship for the conferences that we would do through the Bible school and stuff. And one day, one of the times when I was speaking there, they were touring, and so we've got this other worship leader. I don't know him, and very soft, skinny jeans, effeminate, and he launched into this one song, and he's just like, just let Jesus hold you. And he started holding himself like, he's giving himself a hug. And then he goes, just dance with Jesus. And he starts dancing around, hugging himself, holding himself. And I I turned to the host. I was like, David, that's bullcrap. You got to stop that, or I'm going to stop it. And David, he doesn't suffer fools. And he's like, okay, well, that was interesting. And you must sit down now. You are not saved whatsoever. And he got him off the stage, and we killed it quick. So if people think, you're just tooting your own horn, you and Rich, like, no, I would leave. I would not sit there and have my presence frickin' endorse that type of behavior.
Right.
And so when everybody's like, Mark was a hero, and at least he rebuked the crap next day.
I can appreciate. Let me defend him a little on this part. He's known for being hot-headed, flying off the handle, over the top, disrespectful, aggressive, violent, yelling, even slapping people, right? Like that's... So when I see the self-control that he had, and when he said his voice was hoarse from praying till whatever time in the morning, I believe that he really was praying. I believe that. A lot of people say that. I think they're full of it. But I think he was very sincere, and I think he tried to measure his response. And so I'll give him credit for that. So I believe that he tried to do the right thing, and he did rebuke that whole situation. I respect him for that. Fair enough, I think it was a tough situation, and I think he made a good call. Another thing I think is interesting to add to that, and I think this will add value to the Warriors and Wildmen listeners. If you let your personality become the excuse that people don't listen to the truth you're saying, you'll be dismissed, and you'll never communicate what God is trying to get through you. So if you have something really powerful or important to say, don't throw a fit and act like a butthole, because they'll say that person's a jerk, and they'll dismiss the very valuable things that you have to say. And so I think in this case, with his attitude, I think he put it in check, and what he said was considered. And so I want to give him credit for that, at least that first stage, right? I mean, that's where we started.
Yeah, I was on board again. Me personally, I wouldn't stay for it. I would leave. So anyway, he stayed, and then he reproved the decision, to do it. And then Lindell shouts him. He's the guy who hosts. He's the pastor that throws this thing together. He tells Mark, "You're done. Get off the stage." Mark's like, "Whatever. I'm out of here."
He said, "I received that," and he got up and left.
Yeah, and then he came back, and then he apologized for rebuking Lindell because he's the father of the house, and he should have came to him in private. To me, that's where I think that Mark lost all credibility, man. It's like, first of all, he did what he was supposed to do, rebuke that mess. And everybody's like, well,
Right.
Matthew 18 says, you've got a problem with your brother, go to your brother.
It's not a personal problem.
Well, 1 Timothy 5:20 says, if somebody does some stupid crap in public, that you're supposed to rebuke them in public. So there's that.
Yeah, I had a disciple
scripture.
one time, and I know people hear that and they don't understand, but they think, a disciple, you go back disciple. Anyway, I had a guy on my team one time who started getting all mouthy at lunch in front of like 10 other people. And so I corrected him in front of everybody. After we left, we were riding in the same car together, And he says, I don't appreciate you correcting me in front of everyone. I said, I don't appreciate you being stupid in front of everyone. I said, you can have any conversation you want in private, and I can correct you privately. You can say stupid stuff publicly, I'll correct you publicly. You get to choose the location, right? So it wasn't like the pastor offended him personally and they needed to talk about it. The pastor just offended, whether they were offended or not, in the spirit, he offended 6,000 men with overt homosexuality.
Yep.
So that's not a private rebuke, bro. And you know what? People say, yeah, but you're nobody and he's somebody as a church of 6,000. I've sat at tables with people like that many, many times, Doug. Many times. People way bigger than this cat. I tell them to their freaking face. I'll tell this dude to his freaking face. I've told dudes to their face and got up and zipped up my jacket and walked out the room and walked through the rose garden at Henry VIII's hunting palace or hunting lodge. I don't care. I don't care who you are. When you do that crap, you get told. That's what's up. When you do that, because it's not me fighting for where we're going to eat dinner. It's for the gospel and for what's representing the church. It's not like I don't like the opening song. You promoted homosexuality to men at a time where masculinity in the church is in crisis. You are a devil. I've been watching the series on TV, and they said, well, that wasn't my intention. 2 different times they've said this in the series. It wasn't my intention. They said, but it had the effect. You know what? Nobody's interested if you're intentionally evil. Okay, well, you're stupidly evil. You're accidentally evil. You don't get to be in charge. And then that guy goes and tries to make up a story and say, oh, this guy's a born-again Christian 10 years ago, and he's a family man with children. Right. And that guy came out and said, I'm Orthodox. I don't know what you're talking about. I went to church once over there. I don't have kids. Like, he's a freaking liar. He's literally a freaking liar.
So how does the Lindell cat, I don't know, walk out in public? How do you keep your church? Because that was all, total 100% China white, bovine scatology, or what they call in the Greek, rich scubalon, or what we call down here in the great Republic of Texas, bullcrap. So he's like, I don't like, what Mark did because Alex, he's a born-again Christian, been saved for 10 years. He's a family man. Leave him alone. He's a family man, just like Daryl Hall and John Oates sing. And then it's and then Magala's like, nope. I'm Orthodox Christian, which basically means that he's a cultural Christian, just
like a type of Catholic. I mean, he could have faith, or secular. But we don't know
or like a secular Jew or something like that.
We don't know.
Right. He's definitely not, glory to God on fire, some of the plummet, speaking in tongues.
Well, he even tried to say that he witnessed to somebody on the way to the airport or something. He's a liar, bro. Check this out. He's a liar.
Yeah,
and you know why he's going to get away with it? Because these are celebrity-run churches by cowards and clowns. That's why. They ain't got no balls. And you know what? If he wants to come on Warriors and Wildmen, he could probably, because he surrounds himself with a bunch of yes men, think that he's all badass. And, man, I'd tell... If he came on here, I'll tell him to his face exactly like I'm telling now, and I won't be nice. I'll tell him, you repent
let's go back to...
that you lied. Repent for having a on your stage. I don't even want to hear it. Stop it already.
Yeah, let's go back to...
I'm so mad.
So that had to clear through him. It's not like he's got this committee.
Of course
and he's a hands-off. He's not a micromanager. So he lets this committee do it. I think
he's a homosexual. I'm going to say it right now. Nobody. You know what? Else? When the world starts infiltrating your system and you start becoming compassionate to the world and you start thinking it's okay, and then you start making decisions like that, and you got yourself surrounded by a bunch of yes men, and they go, yeah, we could put a gay guy up there. And how does he know this gay stripper from Vegas?
Right.
I rest my case. Circumstantial evidence. I don't care.
Right. So how much? So Magala was on America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent. So maybe Lindell's a fan of the show, and they reached out to his PR team. So it's I grew up.
Okay, maybe he's not gay. Maybe he's effeminate. Right. Maybe he's gay and he's not acting on it. But he's definitely effeminate.
But here's something that's and
I'm not talking about the stripper.
Right. So here's something that I've been a Christian for 40 years, And I've been to some marvelous conferences, Rich. Just, I feel privileged to have lived through some of this stuff. Just glorious stuff. And in amazing conferences. Dr. Sproul, my mentor and professor, incredible conferences. And guess what? No stripper needed, no tank needed, no motorcycles needed, no gimmicks needed. All that they had, so Sproul, I know he's not your favorite preacher, but MacArthur.
Oh, I like Sproul. Oh, MacArthur, no.
Yeah. But again, there's a lot of stuff that he's freaking world class on, other stuff.
But he should write and not talk. Terrible.
Yeah, and then there's Ravenhill's conferences that he had that, again, I'm privileged. I got to see him. I got to be there. I got to go to his house, sit in his office. They didn't have gimmicks, man. It was heavy focus on serious worship and, something that's transcendent, something that's majestic, something that's got the OT kabod to it, the weight and the glory, serious teaching, then great Q&A. And you know what? Those guys, minus gimmicks, minus stripper, minus stripper pole, minus licking a sword, minus taking your shirt off and twirling around the stripper pole, and minus tanks crushing cars, minus all that stuff. They discipled, Rich, millions of young men. Millions,
Well, I could tell you of another situation that was ultimately my fault, and I'll tell you the difference of my response than this turd pastor, whatever his name is. I don't even care to know it. I had a missions conference, one of my first missions conference. Our church was small at the time, and our local college, the cheerleaders wanted to come and do a dance to a Christian song. A couple of the girls on the cheer squad were from our church, and I said, okay, well, I need to come and personally make sure the dance is okay because I don't trust that stuff. And so I came and they did it to this Christian song. They danced around. It was great. It was awesome. It was fun. It was exciting, uplifting. Cool. Okay, let's do it. Next night they come out, song comes on, everybody's excited. Girls come out and they got white T-shirts on and nobody's wearing a bra. And
whole lot of shaking going on. Whole lot of shaking going on, I'm guessing.
Dude,
right?
And when I tell you that I got raked over the coals, I was a brand new pastor. They ate me alive. And you know what I did, Doug? Took my lumps, answered every call, every text, every email, personal replies, and took personal responsibility because the buck stops with me and it was my fault. And I promised that that would never happen again. I told them that I watched the dance to make sure that it was appropriate. I did not even think about the clothing. I promise you I think about that stuff now, but I didn't know. And you know what I didn't do? I didn't try to defend anybody. I didn't make excuses. I didn't try to deflect it. I said, I am terribly sorry. That will never happen again. And what can you say after that? You know what? A couple people were still upset. Everybody else like, okay, yeah, it could happen. And I said, but it won't again. And that's what you do. What that guy should have said is said, hey, I didn't think of it like that. I'm sorry. We'll never do anything like that again.
Yeah, I'm telling you, X
he's doubling down. He made up lies. Doug, he made up lies. Or somebody told him that, and he didn't even bother to check it out, that he's been saved 10 years and goes to Mosaic Church. That's a lie. He went once with his friends. That's what he said in his thing. It's a lie. He literally stood up there. Oh, man, that didn't go how I wanted it to. Oh, man, I'm under fire. I'm going to attack the preacher and defend the gay stripper with lies. Bro, to me, that's worse than the original thing.
Yeah, again, how do you keep your church? And, you're talking...
Fans, fanboys.
Yeah, but do you think adult freaking men and women are that like delusional where they would say, yeah, we're with Lindell. Well, that was it was kind of interesting.
No, they don't. You know what they think? They go to those big churches because of social club. They pop in for their hour and 15-minute service, and they pop out, and they'll see you in a week or two if that's it. That's what's happening at those churches. That's fact.
I've got a buddy.
That's not like my opinion. I'm not jealous. I've been all around the world working in these churches, preaching in these churches. I'm telling you straight out, that's what's going on. Ain't no discipleship going on. There's a few people who really love Jesus. And there's a whole bunch of people that are like, You know, the Christians of today, the evangelicals in America today are the Catholics of the last generation. They're just cultural, and they're not really committed. I know that's cold. I know it's broad generalization, but I said it. It is what it is. I'll stand by it.
Yeah, so I had a guy, really great guy. I don't think I've introduced you to him. He's got a phenomenal podcast, and he's in the men's space in a very solid, significant way. Great Instagram page, and he reached out to me and he goes, "Let's stand up a conference. Let's show the dudes what you don't need." You know, so we don't need strippers, we don't need gimmicks, we don't need smoke machines, we don't need any of that stuff. Just have a simple men's conference, and maybe in Colorado, put out the feelers, you know, through our gigantic email list, put it out through Warriors and Wildmen if we stand it up, and just see if the folks would show up. Again,
they will, Doug.
In a
Remember
Raven
Promise
Hill,
Keepers when it first started? All it was preaching and worship with a bunch of men getting together and preaching and worshiping.
Right.
And they loved it. And then it became stupid. Yeah. But the initial thing showed that there's a response. Men want the word, and they want to worship. There you go.
Yeah. All right, buddy. So aside from the Warriors and Wild Men getting the book, I Talk Back to the Devil, what else should they do, brother?
They should walk out when male strippers start performing, and also
Absolutely.
Female strippers
100%.
Probably have to add that.
But make sure you video it, you know.
Yeah.
Make sure you video walking out.
Yeah, not the strippers. Don't be a part of that stuff. Don't tolerate it. Don't be in a church that's promoting that kind of garbage, man. We've been talking about Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's not transformation. That's just a total acceptance of the world's patterns. Get out of there, man. Get your family at a church where they can serve God, where they preach the word and they worship Jesus. Anyway, and go to warriorsandwildmen.com. Subscribe. It's free. We'll send you a couple emails a week, let you know what's happening, keep you up to date. If you want to help support the ministry, if you're getting something good, go to the War Chest. It's tax deductible. When you send your gift, we'll send you that information. For those that are doing it, we appreciate you guys for making it happen. Warriors and Wildmen out.